Welcome to another episode of Prioritize. They accomplish while you drown in lists. It's difficult to juggle your responsibilities. Husband, father, brother. It goes on, but your energy doesn't.
You pondering what I'm pondering?
Prioritize what's right for you, not what's left behind. This is Prioritize with Toby Baker.
You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
That's right, gentlemen and ladies. Welcome on in. This is Prioritize. Here we prioritize faith, family, relationships, and more. I'm your crazy white, formerly fat host, the Baker Boy himself. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. Even if other people are not glad, why you look at me? I'm glad you're here. Of course I'm glad they're here. Why wouldn't I be? I told you in the last episode, I've gone through so many different changes in the last. I had eye surgery recently. Can you believe this? I'm not an old guy. I'm 48 years old. I'm not old enough to be having eye surgery. I mean, you're not like 50. But you're definitely not spring chicken. Have you ever had eye surgery before? It's not the funnest thing in the world. I was having problems last year, and it was right around March when when our previous episode had dropped, and I was finding out that I was having some difficulty seeing, and I thought maybe it's time to go get this thing checked out. I was in town. Which is kind of rare for that because my company was constantly sending me out on projects for audio, video, and lighting installs to various churches and venues and restaurants and, universities and college, things like that. And I was in town. I'm like, okay, let me get this thing checked out. And I go over to the doctors. Well, the doctor. What would you call this? The eyeglass place, wherever it is. I guess. Okay, sorry. They have doctors there. I'm not a doctor, so I can't speak intelligently about such things, but I am a customer, a consumer, and I had eye problems, so I guess that qualified me to take a few minutes and head on in. Of course, my wife gave me her bless. She actually got it. She's like, look, if you do not go to the eye doctor, you're going to have bigger problems. So my wife loves me, cares about me. I'm glad. Me too. Good to have people that care about you. I go into the eyeglass store, and we got checked in, and they're looking at the eye like, it looks like you got some problems, man. You probably want to get this checked out like ASAP, like yesterday. Like, really? What kind of issues do I got going on? Yeah, we're gonna refer you over to this place here, and they'll get you checked out and sorted out and everything, and you'll grab some glasses on your way. Look, okay, I'll get some glasses. So he gave me the prescription or the whatever that is on the sheet of paper that I took over to the millions of glasses you can select from that apparently are all made in one big shop. I don't know, China, Japan, wherever they're made. They're all made in the same place, and they send them out by the thousands, by the hundreds of thousands to everybody, everywhere, glasses for all, and then they charge you whatever they're going to charge you. So I got my glasses in, and apparently I had to have they gave me a prescription where the right lens is thicker than my hand. It's like bottle cap size. Like this thing is enormous, and the other one is paper thin. It's almost not even there. So I had some issues with my right eye, and I thought, I'll let this handle itself for now. Let's not overcomplicate things and add more stress to my life. So that's what I dealt with. I couldn't see really out of the right eye. It had progressed to the point where if I covered my left eye, I could distinguish light from dark. That was it. I couldn't read. I couldn't see you if you were 2 feet in front of me. It was kind of bad. It wasn't great. And so I found myself just roughing it through until no more could I stand this. And I thought, okay, we gotta get this thing taken care of. This is bad enough. So I go back to the eye doctor. This time it's a different clinic, and they're sorting things through. and they have different personalities there. I mean, there's the bubbly personalities for everybody around. You know, the person who checks you in and gets you comfortable, and then they take you from the big waiting room into the smaller waiting room. And the doctor will be in shortly. Just hang out here, okay? And then they come in, they ask you a few questions, and then they'll take you out of that waiting room into a different waiting room, and then you're sitting there until another person comes by and takes you from there and puts you into a different waiting room with a chair. There's a big chair. It's the only chair in there, and that's where they're going to start doing the operating. Actually, not then in there. They had a bunch of other tests they were going to run through. They come in and they put this, it's like it's a liquid, and it's a bitter liquid. So when they squeeze it into your eye, it like burns a little bit, and then they bring in some kind of a floodlight and just shine that thing right on the right side, and so it's burning the retinas out of your eye. And meanwhile, they're like, now don't blink, just sit right there. It sounds a lot like my mom in the time. Don't blink your eye, you're gonna catch the moja. I'm standing there, they're dilating the eye, they got the yellow liquid, the whatever colors of liquid, and we do this several times before the doctor comes in, she's very reserved. And I'm kind of divided on this, on how I want my doctor. Like, do I want my doctor like me? I don't think so, because they probably should be more reserved, being that they're going to be doing the operating on the eye. Me, I'm a little less reserved. I don't know if you could tell. No. Could not tell at all. This is very strange for you. And so I thought, my job on this planet, I think, is to help bring the light. So I thought I would tell a nice joke, right? And she turns to me and says, I'm afraid you have cataracts in that eye. So I remembered when they did this in The Sopranos, and Uncle Junior is there, and he says, hey, a Chinaman goes into the doctor's office to see the eye doctor, and the doctor turns to him and says, I know what your problem is. You got cataracts. And the Chinaman says, no, I don't. Doctor says, yeah, you got cataracts. Chinaman says, no, I drive a Lincoln Continental. So I thought it was humorous. I tell the doc this. She didn't think it was funny. No kidding. Like, she did not find you humorous? What a coincidence. No, like, she just didn't. It's like, okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to sign you up, get you scheduled in, and then we're bringing. She actually said the word schedule. Wait a minute. Did she actually say the word schedule? I don't know. I think she did. Maybe she didn't. Anyway, got me scheduled in, and I come in several more visits just to be sure. Then they set me up for eye surgery. Now, here's the thing with eye surgery. You don't really know what's going on, so I was a little apprehensive. I asked them, all right, so walk me through what's going to happen. They said, well, first off, we're going to take this mask and put it over your mouth, and then we're going to ask you to count back from 5. And I was like, 5? Isn't normally 10? So, okay, 5, Mississippi. And then I black out. They wake me up, Mr. Baker. Okay, you're going to want to be careful on your way home. Okay, your driver's here? Yes? Okay, very good. Here's your papers. And I missed the whole thing, which is fine. I don't want to be awake during the time the eye surgery where they're taking the laser and removing the cataracts or the Lincoln Continental, whatever was in my eye. I don't know. I don't even know what a cataract is. I'd have to ask my assistant and Google and Gemini and all those things. Have you ever had cataracts before? Like, and they're gone, and I'm looking around like, okay. So I had this pirate patch, the pirate eye patch on my eye for the day. And then they gave me this ointment, and I had the other eye drops, which still burned. And I put the ointment on the outside of my eye. I don't understand that. Why would you put the ointment on the outside of your eye with the eyelid? Your eyelid's closed. You put this ointment on there. What are we doing? This is not, I didn't have surgery on my eyelids. They had a follow-up the very next day. There's several follow-ups. You got like 4, I think. And then, anyway, this was the one that was directly after that day. The very next day, I still got the patch on my eye because I'm a little concerned. Like, can I take this thing off? I don't know. And people around, they give you the weird look, the stink eye, like, this guy's missing an eye. He's not a real person. And I hate that. I really hate I got vanity issues, gang. I think I've shared this with you before. It's a problem when you have perfect hair and people don't like you for it. It gives you vanity issues. I was born with this. I didn't ask for it. I didn't trade my ever-living soul to have perfect hair. I just wake up, boom, there it is. What are you going to do? So I see the doctor, and we're going through it like, you don't have to wear that anymore, and you're fine. And I asked her, how does the ointment help the eye when I'm putting it on the eyelid? She goes, oh, it doesn't. You have to put it in your eye. I said, excuse me a moment. The eye that I just had surgery on, the one that we're paying, I don't know how many thousands of dollars to bring it back to zero so I can get the 20/20 vision again. Yes, that's the one. You want to put that in your eye. As I don't understand what you're saying. Why don't you understand? Are you a moron? She didn't ask me that. It just kind of came out. So you want me to squeeze the ointment onto my eye. And the assistant's right there, and she goes, yes, it's actually very simple. You pull back the bottom portion of your eyelid, so there's a little gap in between your eyelid and your eye. And if you're a little queasy, maybe you want to skip past this next part. I don't know. You take that ointment, you squeeze it right into the crevice of that eyelid. It liquefies within milliseconds. I was a little like, where am I going with this story? Absolutely nowhere. I'm just providing it for free. That's I've never had eyes. I thought I was going to be one of those guys that just die with perfect vision, right? Perfect vision, perfect teeth. I didn't have perfect teeth. I still don't have perfect teeth. And you pass away and you're like, that guy, he had great vision. He never wore glasses. I wore glasses when I was a kid, and then I got into contacts, and then my eyes got better. So I didn't need glasses or contacts. And then all of a sudden, boom, I got a cataract. Oh, don't forget about the Rincon Continental, right? And that. And I got the surgery. And next thing I know, like my teeth, I had problems with the teeth. I've had problems with the teeth for a long time. This is the reason I think people avoid going to the dentist. That, and I remember the whole time I'd been there, you have your jaw wide open. And then your jaw hurts. Like my jaw wasn't hurting before I came to the dentist. And now we're trying to clean the teeth. And then you point out all the problems with my teeth, which I get it. That's your job, right? And then you fix those things. And then I have a nice smile. So for the longest time, I put off going to the dentist. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go. My wife has a beautiful smile. Maybe I should care a little more about my teeth. And so I go to the dentist to get them cleaned. I set up our cleaning, and they get there like, we can't even clean these things just yet. You have so many issues. Well, they didn't say it. They were actually very pleasant. They were very sensitive because I'm a sensitive guy. That's news right there. And they said, Mr. Baker, we got to address you got to address some issues. I get it. So they scheduled me to come back in to have a 5 teeth pulled. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 all together, same time? Yep, same time. 5 teeth. You ever had 5 teeth pulled in one sitting? Not fun. Not much fun. So I just had eye surgery. Now we're going in to get 5 teeth pulled. I come back. They sit me in a nice, comfortable chair. They try to keep me, my nerves are I'm a lot anxious right now. And they take these Q-tips. They're the size of brooms, right? They take 2 of them. They dip them in this gel. Okay, we're going to numb this side of your mouth here. There you go. And they leave them in. They walk away to come back like 15, 20 minutes. Oh, Mr. Baker, can you feel anything on that side? A little bit still. Okay, no problem. Then they come back. My mouth is almost completely numb. Mr. Baker, you're going to feel a slight pinch. Oh, God, what was that? They have a needle. I don't know what size the needle is. I remember from the documentary Little Shop of Horrors, not the one with Jack Nicholson. I didn't see that one. The one with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin and John Candy. Phenomenal movie. If you've never seen that documentary, I highly recommend it. Steve Martin is the dentist, does a great job. That's what I had vision in my head. That and the scene from Castaway where Tom Hanks is withering away on the island because nobody's coming out there to save him. and he's got a toothache. Do you remember this? And it got so bad. He had like a seaweed wrap around his tooth or something to help ease the pain, right? And that wasn't happening. So he took a, what did he have? Did he have any alcohol? I don't remember if he had alcohol or not. I can't recall. Because he went through all those FedEx packages except for one. And that was the hope that he's going to get off the island, be able to deliver the package, do his job, you know, and sign off on that. So he's there on the island. He's got the rock. I'm like, this is that. That was the main thing I had going through my head in Little Shop of Horrors. I'm like, how bad is this going to get? But with the numbing, you can't really feel anything at all. They give you the option. Like if you wanted the gas or if it was more extenuous, like putting you out for good, you can go to a different dentist. But there, you know, if you want it done quickly, which I did, quick and in and out. Bada boom, bada bing, we're done. Let's move on with our life, right? Even though teeth are a big part of life, without teeth, it's hard to enjoy bacon and steak and peanut butter crunch. You love the peanut butter crunch, you know you do. In the back of my head, I could remember my mom saying something like, "Don't eat too much peanut butter crunch, you're going to catch the mojo." So I didn't eat too much, just the proper amount. I don't know how many tools he went through. I kind of lost count, and I kept going through different verses of scripture in my head, like the 23rd Psalm, and yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will feel no evil. Pain is evil. I will fear none of that, for thou art, you know, going through it over and over. And they had a TV on with some cartoons. It didn't really help. It wasn't Bugs Bunny. I got no idea what these cartoons are. What is wrong with the cartoons today? What is happening with this? They're showing Amazon Prime has the Pink Panther streaming right now. If you don't have Prime, it's almost worth it just to get the Pink Panther. That's the golden age. They have the Looney Tunes on HBO Max. We don't have that anymore streaming, but we do have Amazon Prime. We can watch the Pink Panther. That's a cartoon, my friend. This other baloney they got going on, I don't know what this is. Do you remember Animaniacs? That was a cartoon. Old school Garfield. That was a cartoon. The original Scooby-Doo Mysteries. That was a cartoon. Thundercats, Smurfs, Snorks. Those were cartoons. What they got today? Forget about it. At the end of my dentist appointment, they give me this huge packet of gauze. I'm like, am I going to go through all this? I went through most of it. There was so much just saliva and blood. It was bad. It was nasty. But eventually, I think by the middle of the next day, it stopped bleeding. And they said, don't swish. Don't swish like mouthwash. I can't swish. You can, but don't like full force spit it out. Just let it dribble out of your mouth. Okay, so I had to completely alter my habits for these. They were my wisdom teeth. I don't think I mentioned that before. I never had my wisdom teeth pulled out. And then one of them was bad. They had to pull that one out. And then there's another tooth. They're going to do a root canal with a crown. And then I have two other fillings to do. And they finally cleaned the teeth. I got a little more work to do, and then I'll be back to good, I think, as the song goes. But a visit to the dentist, after a visit to the doctor. And before all this, I had some kind of strange tweak in my back. I don't understand what it is. And nobody warns you about this. So once you crest over the age of like 31, it does not take you much to break your back, to tweak it, to like, if you got to bend over to get a towel, boom, oh, golly, what just happened to my back? And that's how it went for me this one fine Saturday morning as I was returning from the grocer. I wasn't carrying anything. I got out of the car, which granted, it's just a basic Chevrolet Malibu. It's kind of close to the ground. So when I got out, something happened to my back. And within an hour, I was in some pain. And for the rest of the day, I was in serious pain. I get up on Sunday morning. I'm looking for chiropractors that are open on Sunday. The ones that were open, you had to already be a patient for them, people. Come Monday morning, I am jacked to the side. I can't walk without leaning. I got a cane. It was horrible. Like everyone, all my colleagues at the time, they're like, Toby, you doing okay? You look horrible. What happened? And I told them the story, like, go see a chiropractor. Like, go to somebody. Here's a name. Go to somebody. I can't stand looking at you. Which I'm surprised it took that for them to get the truth out. Wait, you don't normally have them people telling you, oh, I can't stand to look at you. No, oddly enough, people find me very pleasant. False. So anyway, I go to the chiropractor, and I'm walking in like almost sideways. I got one leg up, one leg down. I got the cane. The doc is looking at me like he's just shaking his head. Like, brother, what happened to you? And I told him this. I mean, I tweaked my back before playing tennis. I accidentally rolled over backward, and when I stood up, it just threw me all out of whack. In install, you generally find yourself lifting heavy objects. So when I was in high school, I played basketball, I played soccer, I swam. Like, I was very athletic. So, yeah, I guess this is inevitable. Like, you're just going to hurt yourself bending over to pick up a towel or pick up a screwdriver. Like, oh, that did it right there. And then I went to a what kind of lifestyle do they call it? Where you're sedentary, where you're sitting more at your desk and you're not moving around as much. So that probably added to the compiling that became my mess of a back. So every week for the next 6 weeks, I'm going in for an adjustment. And I got to tell you, finally, it's back to where it should be. Like, I'm able to stand and walk, and I'm much better now. But man, eye surgery, tooth pulled, back tweaked, seeing a dentist, an ophthalmologist, a chiropractor. What is happening? I do something in my sleep. How do you hurt yourself in your sleep? You wake up, oh man, what happened to my back? And then you got to do the yoga, the stretching, you got to breathe differently, all these things. I don't know. But gang, life changes, right? Life happens. I never thought I would be that guy that's going to not now. I don't want to go the rest of my life. I'm telling you that right now. I do not want to find myself at the chiropractor every week the rest of my life. Now, understand things are going to happen. I got to go back. And there's nothing against the chiropractor. I don't even like going to the doctor's office because I think that my body is this magnificent, terrorizing piece of equipment that, like, the very horrible thing to look at from the side. Yeah, that too. But your human body was designed to be able to heal itself. You ever, get a paper cut and then a few days later it's good to go? Like, you ever smash your knee on something, you get a bruise, and then a couple weeks later, poof, bruise is gone? What is it? Every 7 years we have completely new skin? Our bodies are amazing things. They're amazing creatures. We are created by our Creator. We are fantastically created, knitted in our mother's womb. And so, yeah, I think my body can heal itself. I don't run to the doctor as soon as I got a headache or I don't know, you get a pain. I'm like, all right, it'll go away. I don't speak things over myself all day long. Oh, I'm getting a headache. Oh, I'm hurting so bad. Like, I don't want my body to succumb to that kind of notion. Instead, I say things like, oh, my body's fighting something. If I got head pain, I'm like, oh, my body's fighting something. We're going to get through this. I don't have to run out to the hospital or to the ER every time, the soldier cuts my arm off. Because it's not so. Hey, cut your arm off. Tis a flesh wound. Anyway, back to reality. My boys gave me this book. I'm going to be going through this with y'all. I hope it's helpful to you. If all I'm doing is just speaking to hear myself speak, I'm going to like it. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I got a great voice. Well, I mean, this is not false. This is true. This is strange. How do I agree with you? This is not normal. Not everybody likes the sound of. I like this sound. My wife likes the sound of my voice. I don't think my boys. Maybe they do. I don't know. Who knows? But they gave me this book. I'm going through the next part in this book. I went through the first part of there in the last podcast, and so we're kind of going through this, and it brings back some neat things to think about. This section was in beginnings. And I get the impression it's asking, hey, what's the first memory that you recall? And that'd be my question for you, my friend, as you're listening to this. What's some of the very first memories, if you think all the way back when you were a kid or when you were a baby? And what was happening there? One of the first memories I got is either my mom or dad putting me into the car seat. I remember the car seat just being very, very awesome. Like, I love this thing. I love the sound of the click when the buckle comes down, and they tighten and retighten that car seat to the point where it's like it's cutting into the car seat itself. So the baby seat, what do they call booster seat? No, not a booster. I wasn't on the booster seat just yet, but I remember being in that car seat in the car, and I thought, this is cool. I got my own little spaceship thing here going. I had my armrests were there, and and it was winter. I remember it being winter. It was cold outside. Like, they were getting the car started. They didn't have those fancy car starters like they do now. Have you seen these? You got this for your car? You can stand. My wife has this. I'm very happy for my wife that she has this ability where she can stand in the kitchen and point the little remote at her Jeep and it fires up. I'm very happy for her in the dead of winter so that she's able to get into her Jeep and it's nice and warm and the leather seats are heated, and then I get into my Chevrolet Malibu, and because the O2 sensors are off and I refuse to go get them fixed because I'm not going to pay for government to watch over the fuel consumption of my car just so that I can say, yes, it's CO2S2 compliant. I don't get that fixed. Because I don't get that fixed, I can't start my car in the dead of winter from the kitchen. But I'm not bitter about it. No, you seem very happy. So I'm glad for her. Glad she's able to do that. My car, sadly, cannot until I pay $300 or whatever it is to get the stupid OS2 sensor switched out so I can stand in my kitchen. I'm like, you know what? I'll brave the cold. My parents did it. My parents' parents did it. I think even my parents' parents did it. Did I say that the same? Parents? I don't know. They weren't starting up the heater in their horse-drawn buggy from the kitchen back in the olden days. I'll tell you that, my friends. So I can walk out to my car and start it and let it warm up and stuff. But it was one of the first ones that I recall. We were over at my grandparents'. I think it was in Addison at the time. I really liked that Addison house. That was a cool place. My grandpa worked at some kind of factory. He worked with metals, because I remember he brought home this one time. It was so cool because I was really into this, man. They used to have magazines for this sort of thing. He brought home, and he made it at the factory, he brought home a Chinese throwing star. It was square with 4 points on it, and it had curve. I'm like, this is the coolest thing. You made this? He made it at the factory. And I remember going to the grocery store, and when my parents were getting groceries, like, hey, can I get this karate mix? No. We're not going to get that. When I'm with mom, she's a little softer. You know, I might be able to squeeze it into the grocery cart without her knowing. We're not going to buy a karate magazine. You're going to catch the mojo. Go put it away. So I don't remember them ever buying me the magazine. Finally, when I was able to buy it, I bought it, and then it came out of my money. Like, all these cool, like the tabby boots and the spikes and the grappling hook, all the cool ninja stuff that you would see in the 80s movies, which were horrible movies. Not at the time, though. At the time, I was like 10 years old, and these things were amazing. How does a ninja just disappear into a cloud of smoke that he threw on the ground? 2 seconds later, poof, there's this huge cloud of smoke. The next thing you know, he's climbing a tree, and he's got Chinese throwing stars, and it's like whizzing them all around and taking everything. Like, oh, this is the bestest thing ever. And my grandpa brought home a Chinese throwing star. I tried to whiz it up against the tree, and I think maybe he had some safeguards on there so I didn't hurt myself. I didn't care. That thing was cool. And at this Addison house, they had this long wall with no windows on their home. It was on their home or their garage. And they had a soccer ball that my Uncle James was playing some soccer. And so I'd take the soccer ball and kick it up against the house, I don't know, for an hour or two. And Grandpa would take me fishing in the pond when I was a kid. I remember doing that. And I remember my pops, they had some friends. Sometimes they'd come over and visit at the house when we lived in Angola. They lived over at the lake, so we would go over to the lake a couple times. I think he actually bought the boat off this guy. And we went out on the boat, I remember at least once, and we're there and we're fishing, and I was using the worms, actual worms, not I don't remember where they got these things. The store, they get them from the gas station when they sold worms at the gas station. And he bought the boat of this guy, and next thing I don't know if he ever used the boat again. I don't think he did, because the next time he was moving the boat around, it was for a garage sale. He was trying to sell it for a few $100s. So I think one of the first Bibles that I ever had in my possession was a gift from Grandma Wright when I was just a youngster. When I was a youngster. And we were at their house in Addison, and I remember their dog, James' dog Boots. It was I think it was a collie. It was pretty sure it was just a short little collie, and very cool dog. I know that was hard for them when the dog passed, but it was this. I got this cool Bible. It was a fold over leather, and the leather had the pouch that snapped on top. King James version. That was a cool Christmas. I remember that one. Let me ask you this. Switching streams here. Let me ask you this. Don't cross the streams, but you can switch streams. Let me ask you this question. When was the first time you ever tried McDonald's chicken nugget? If you haven't had them, you got to try it before you die. Okay? I know what my mom would say. You got to have a chicken nugget, otherwise they're going to catch the bone. Yeah. So when I was a kid and we were living in Angola at the time, and I remember being in the basement. I mean, this, for some reason, it just meant so much. I don't understand it. It just meant a lot. And Mom's like, do you want to try a chicken nugget? Here, try a chicken nugget. Dip it in the sauce, honey. Don't get it all over yourself. And I tried this magical thing from McDonald's. Amazing. Oh, I was hooked right then and there, man. Chicken nuggets from McDonald's. I think I need to go get some right now. But, woo, wow. Yeah, and I was just a little tight then. I was young enough. I think shortly after, my mom, who was she did a bunch of the sewing. She did a lot of sewing. She was the kind of mom, like if your pants needed hemmed, you weren't getting new pants, my friend. No. The hems were getting sewn. I remember she had a bit of an accident, and when she bought me these jeans for a whole quarter at a garage sale, she thought it was a great deal. The hems were a little off, so she decided to fix them. So she fixed one hem on the leg, and apparently she cut it a little too short. So then she had to cut the other one shorter, but that one she cut shorter than the previous one. So by the time she was done and I put these things on, I had one hem up to the knee and the other one in the middle of my shin. This was not a good look for me. I'm not going to lie to you. But from that, she learned, she progressed. She put together my Halloween costume. I think it was my favorite Halloween costume of all time. She made E.T. Can you believe it? E.T., the extraterrestrial from the Steven Spielberg. Yeah, that movie, that E.T., that's what she made. It was amazing. I took it to school. I wore it as often as I thought I was E.T. That thing was very cool. She progressed a little later from that, went back to the pants, and she actually sewed I was in a quiz team for a while, and she made the pants for the quiz team. It was a cool fabric. It was very cool. It was like a the blue highlighters that they got out at the store. It was that color blue. It was very, very neon blue. We had that, and I think black shirts. We looked great. We looked amazing. It was the latter end of the 80s. These were like MC Hammer pants. It was very cool. 80s, late 80s, early 90s is when that was. Oh, we were amazing. Do you remember MC Hammer? Do you remember this guy? He was famous for the week.
Can't touch this.
He had a few albums, and then he disappeared, became a preacher.
You can't touch this.
Can't touch this. This was huge. This was on the radio every day, all day long, for like a solid, week. He became too famous too fast. I think it was what the problem was. And then all of a sudden it was like, MC Hammer. And then he rebranded, and then it was just Hammer. Kind of like Jennifer Lopez, just J-Lo. Or now, what is it now? John, what is it? John doesn't know. Okay, I don't know either. There came a time we had to put the Bible quizzing MC Hammer pants away so that I could mow the lawn. Did you mow the lawn when you were a kid? I mowed the lawn when I was a little kid. It was how I got money. Money. So we lived on an acre, 5 acres, something like that. It felt like 5 acres if it was only an acre. I'll tell you that much right now. We had a push mower. It was a very small push mower. And my pops was a frugal guy. He was an entrepreneur. He had his own business. Wasn't going to spend a lot of money on a lawnmower just for the social construct of we got to have a perfect lawn. That wasn't him. He didn't need a perfect lawn, so guess what? We didn't have a perfect lawn. But he hired me, yours truly, to mow that lawn. And I got to mow that lawn for $5 a week. Oh, the things I would think about that I'm going to do with this $5 a week for the summer. I thought, okay, if I work enough, and I wasn't really good at math, but I believed if I saved enough money, I had my uncle take me over to the Honda dealership. They had 3-wheelers there. I don't think they sell them anymore. 4-wheelers and beyond, and the side-by-sides and all the toys, but 3-wheelers were it. And they had motorcycles, but I wanted a 3-wheeler. I was like, okay, if I save enough, and I'm not doing my math very well, but $5 a week for one summer, yes, I should be able to get $1,000 before the end of the summer, and then I can buy that 3-wheeler. It's going to be amazing. My math was a little off. I didn't get to mow the lawn every single day like I had thought, and I didn't mow the lawn even every week. I think after the first couple of weeks, I was like, is this really worth it, though? A lot of memories from that house with that 5-acre lawn. A lot of good memories. We had this basketball hoop off to the side. He had a drive-in. The driveway would lead right up to a 2-car garage, and then there was another 2-car garage a little bit further back. We had this basketball hoop. Grandpa and Gramps and Pops, they put this thing in. It was very cool. I remember I'd be out there almost every day after school trying to practice for basketball. I kind of sucked at basketball, but I really enjoyed playing. I was a forward, somewhere between a forward and a point guard. We had a small enough pool of talent that I was allowed to play. And I enjoyed playing. It was great, being with the guys. I would practice right there at the hoop, and every once in a while I'd be able to convince Pops to come out and shoot some hoops with me and play little horse or pig or whatever he'd have time for. So, that was cool. We had this, Grandpa put together this play set. It was a swing set in the backyard, all wood. This thing wasn't going anywhere. An elephant, and I think one did. We had a couple of elephants come over and test it out before they allowed us to swing on it, and it worked just fine. I'm sure the elephants would remember that. Very good. Yes, the elephant, memory of an elephant. Very good. And we had this tree house in the back. I love that tree house. That was so much fun. I would create clubs with just my brother and I to specifically exclude I was a horrible big brother. I had to go back and apologize for terrible stuff I did. It was bad. But we would create these clubs just to exclude my sister and make her feel bad so that she'd want to be a part of the club, and then make up dumb things like, okay, you want to be a part of this club? You're going to have to jump out that window. And it wasn't really that far from the ground. But when you're a kid, you don't know that. You think, it's too far down. It's never going to work out. And believe it or not, Mom did not appreciate my rules of the club. In fact, I remember something like her saying, you're going to have to change your rules, otherwise they're going to catch the bounty. And you're going to catch a beating. Change the rules. And put a jacket on. It's getting down to 90 degrees outside. It did get a little warm. I remember the summers being very, very warm. We had these 4th of July parties every year, and we'd invite family over and friends, and they didn't do huge fireworks shows because that's not my pops. He's not investing thousands of dollars into a fireworks show, but they would buy fireworks. And I remember there was one time, man, they had those spinners, that would rise from the ground. They spin around super fast. They give off this cool light show glow of like 5 different colors. One of those jumped into the shirt pocket of my grandpa. He would always wear these, collared shirts, the button downs tucked into a gray pair of pants and white tennis shoes. That was him. That was Grandpa. He's spinning around, jumps in his pocket. We all scatter and start running and laughing and screaming all at the same time. It was amazing. Every once in a while, Pops would pull out the grill and start grilling turkey dogs. Can you believe it? Turkey dogs. I couldn't convince him. We would go over to, man, where did we go? I think it was the grandparents' house this one time. And they were fixing these hot dogs because that's what I was used to eating. And Pops would make the hot dogs on the grill. And they bring the hot dogs out like, these look different. These look different than the ones I'm used to. And I tasted it like, oh my gosh. Mind blown, right? And I'm tasting it like, what kind of a hot dog is this? And grandma would say, oh, that's an all beef hot dog there. Is that different than that's different than the turkey dogs then? Oh, they just put the turkey dogs to shame. Mr. Turkey was the brand that Pops would buy. I don't know, because it was cheaper, maybe, healthier. So he would only buy it had to have been some kind of huge celebration, right? Like somebody's getting married or something for him to buy all beef hot dogs. So I've never purchased a turkey dog in my life. As an adult, never did that. I'm like, I vowed against that kind of all beef hot dogs. Yes, sir. I'll do that all day long. Now, there was a time Joyce and I were in college and they had the Scott stores had these coupons. You could buy two. Was it buy two, get three free, or buy one, get two free? And it was just the regular hot dogs, not the all beef hot dogs. So we would do that, but just because we were poor college kids. Now that we're poor adults, we buy entirely different. Yes, I see what you did there. I played soccer in the front yard with my brother. I think my sister played. We had some friends over. Brad, Cindy, and their dad was out there playing. I think my Pops was working. Or I think he was on my team. Yeah, okay, so he wasn't working this time. And here's a lesson, gang. If you're a dad out there, I want you to pay attention. Your kids will remember when you spend time with them. Dad took time out to be on the grill. He took time out to throw the baseball around a little bit. He hit me in the eye and in the shoulder, and he felt terrible about it, but it was dark. He couldn't see very well. I was crowding the plate. But, I'm still here. I did not die. But did you die? Don't die when you play a baseball. You're going to catch the bone. Yeah. I saw what you did there. I didn't die. You get hurt. You stand up. You keep walking. Spend time with your kids because they'll remember it when they're 48 years old. Yeah, Dad was on my team with the soccer, and Brad was on his team, and that Cindy was on their team. I can't remember if my sister and brother were playing with us. I want to say yes. And Mom was on the video camera, just kind of shooting the video. And I would still have the cassette tape today if I didn't accidentally throw that away with a bunch of other cassette tapes. And I feel bad about it because it'd be pretty neat to look back and see those times. The next section of the book asks me a question of what stories have you been told about the day you were born? And I haven't been told a whole lot. I was adopted at, it was like 6 weeks old or just a little bit younger. Mom and Pops fought for my adoption in court. My biological mom was mentally unstable. I shared that with you on the last podcast. It's just not an easy thing for me to say because and I guess it's because I think that other people out there will hear this and in their mind, like, okay, so your mom was unstable, you're probably unstable. And I know sometimes I joke around about that stuff, and it's done in good fun. But, mental instability is nothing to joke around about. I get that. And my concern is that you're out there thinking, well, if she had mental problems, you got mental problems. If she was, demonically possessed or oppressed at the time, then maybe those demons passed on to you. So then, I don't know. Do you look at me with a different tilt if you learn about these things and then you finally mean like, yeah, I can see what you was talking about there. You do look mentally unstable. Perfect hair, but I don't want that stigma for you. I don't want that to be, around in the air every time I meet a fan. Every time I meet somebody on the street, it would just, hey, I heard your podcast. Yeah, I heard you was a little crazy. I guess if we look at these podcasts the way that I look at them, it's kind of like we're just having some nachos. We're very good nachos at that. You ever made your own nachos and then to go to a restaurant? Oh, my goodness. Okay. So you got the cheese, right? The Velveeta, you melt that down. You get the jalapeno and some of the jalapeno juice. That goes in there. You get some bacon and the bacon grease. Don't forget that. That goes into the cheese sauce. Oh, man. And then you just pour a little bit of milk, a little bit of sour cream in with that melted cheese, a little bit of smokiness. So add some liquid smoke and Worcestershire sauce. Oh, goodness. Maybe a little bit of barbecue chicken. You can throw some of that in there too, buddy. So it's like, we're having nachos and I'm working through stuff. And hopefully I'm touching on some hard points for people that are working through things, on the other side of this microphone. When you're listening on the other side of those speakers, you're like, okay, there's other people out there that have problems, that had to go to a dentist and have 55 teeth pulled, or had to go to an eye doctor, and now he's minus one eye, and he's got back pain, so his whole body is falling apart, but he's still getting up the next day, lacing up the boots, and trying to take another step forward in life. That's me. I'm broken, bewildered. Not bewildered. I don't even know what that means. Bewildered. You don't even know the meaning of bewildered. Well, this is true. I shouldn't use that term, but I'm a little bit broken. I'm trying to take that next step, and I'm not perfect. I know there's a lot of other people out there that aren't perfect, and maybe they can relate to this kind of thing. A few years ago, I went back to mom and pops with this one question, and it's not like I didn't see them for years. I'm just saying it was a while back when I asked them this. I said, hey, so if I wanted to find my biological, like where would I start just to meet him, or maybe see him and, I don't know, show up, and maybe they're dead. Maybe they're dead and they're gone. I don't know, but just to maybe see why I am the way that I am. Maybe I have all these problems and I'm just going to work through. Maybe just to see the reflection of where all these weird traits come from. And unfortunately, the data's gone, and all that is it's done. So, which is fine. And I didn't ask for the longest time from my mom because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. It's like I didn't want her to think, oh, what? I'm not good enough? You got to find your real biological. What if you do and you catch the boat? That's going to be horrible. But I didn't want her to feel bad about it. I didn't want Pops to feel bad. And for the longest time, it's like, no, I don't need. There's not a need to. It's that there was a want for a short time, and that's gone. But these were some of my beginnings here. How did your parents describe what you were like when you were a baby? Well, they'd say I had tons of hair on the top of my head that stood straight up. Couldn't take a comb to it. It wouldn't lay down, nothing like that. When I was a baby, I'd lay flat on my stomach and play Superman, so arms up, legs up, and all that, a big old smile on my face. They'd say I was a little bit spoiled. I stayed the night one night at Grandma's while Mom and Dad were doing Mom and Dad things, and apparently I did some crying, and Grandma calls up Mom's like, hey, kid won't stop crying. Is there some kind of special trick you guys use? And Mom's like, oh, he's just spoiled. Don't worry about it. And Grandma's like, no, I don't want to, let him cry. There must be something I can do. Apparently, I cried for quite some time. And the next morning when Mom and Dad came to pick me up, they were asking Grandma, so how did he do? He went back to sleep probably? And Grandma's like, no, that kid is just plain rotten spoiled. Just spoiled rotten, that kid. And yeah, she's probably right. I don't necessarily remember this, but Mom tells me that when I was a kid, one of the remedies that they would use, or at least that they were told about by the doctor, by the way, if your kid can't fall asleep, you give them like a quarter or a droplet of whiskey, like a quarter teaspoon, even if that much. And maybe she gave me a little more than that, I don't know, but apparently that worked, and it put me to sleep. But the strange remedies that they had back then, I don't know. These were Humble beginnings from the Baker Boy himself. I'll go more and deeper into this the next time. I hope you're getting something from this. It's not just me rambling. And gentlemen, if I can speak to you one last time on this topic of spending time with your kids, with your sons, with your daughter, I want to encourage you to do that and do that as often as you possibly can, because you don't get those years back, right? You can always go out, make more money, sell more stuff. There will always be more jobs. There will always be more projects. There will not always be more time. Prioritize the things that are important for you today, because tomorrow is promised to no one.